I spoke to you of some matters of belief in some traditions here in the last occasion or two we met. There's all kinds of beliefs that people believe, or say they believe, or want to believe, would like to have be true, whatever. That doesn't mean they are true. If you study in depth and altogether have comprehension of the nature of the phenomena associated with traditions, then you can see them in terms of the stages of life, the esoteric anatomy of human possibility. And you can also see them in historical terms and how they developed in the social and cultural context of human history. And then instead of simply being a naive believer or a naive agnostic or a naive atheist or a naive anything, you transcend the limitations of your own thinking, your own provincialism of mind. And can see any and all traditions clearly. And they all are authentic in the sense that they all exhibit dimensions of the stages of life, aspects of the esoteric anatomy of human possibility. Myths aren't merely false, they are ways of conveying meaning that has religious significance or philosophical significance or some relevance to a spiritual understanding of life and so forth. Some things may not be historically true in some traditions where something is said to in fact be historically true, but that doesn't mean that what is said is not true in any sense at all. I mean, most people, even Hindus, whose culture is the source of the Bhagavad Gita, are not concerned about whether Krishna actually lived as a historical person or Arjuna. I mean, some people want very much to believe that, but that's just some sectarians. Generally speaking, that's not the point. It's a story form, a literary form used to convey certain meanings about the nature of life and realization of the divine condition. So as a conveyor of that, it has its kinds of authenticity and its references to stages of life and esoteric anatomy and so forth. It's true in relation to universals. Christianity is true in relation to universals. Judaism is, all traditions are true with respect to the universals. Whether they're true in their various parts historically is another question. You see. And very often, things that are said to be true, or some people believe to be true, historically, are not historically true. But that doesn't mean there's something extremely negative there, or just plain old wrong. What's the difference between Christianity as a metaphor for spiritual things and Christianity as an historical Polaroid of real happenings? Well, that, of course, is important to some, but to many, it wouldn't seem to be of any great importance. It's still conveying truths through metaphors of various kinds of stories and moral pronouncements and so on. So it can be seen in the circumstance of the great tradition as being authentic relative to universals, and can be accepted in those terms, like virtually all traditions. It's when you dogmatically insist that something is true in a sense that it is not, that your provincial mind and force of egoity start working in the name of religion. And that's a great source of conflict, as you know, in the world and in the lives of individuals. The yogic or spiritual process of ascent, in the spiritual sense, is true, whether Jesus disappeared in the sky or not. And Jesus disappearing in the sky can be understood as a metaphor for spiritual ascent. And as such, it's an effective metaphor. It doesn't have to be a Polaroid, taken to be a Polaroid of a historical event. It's important for a right understanding to know whether it could possibly be a representation of an historical event. And there are ways to coming to a conclusion about that. If you're interested, you can study the literature about it and see what it suggests.